Imagine waking up and realizing that the rules you thought were stable have quietly changed overnight. Not because of a single event but because of a shift in how power sees itself. For many years people believed that global order moved slowly. That big countries followed patterns. That allies were predictable. That borders of influence were mostly agreed on. And then suddenly the ground feels less firm. This feeling is spreading. Not only in one country but across many. It starts with one place. A change of leadership. A show of force. And then it ripples outward. What looks like a regional decision begins to feel like a global signal. The context matters here. For a long time the United States talked about values and rules while also acting in its own interest. That tension existed but it was managed through alliances and institutions. Now something different is happening. Power is being stated more clearly. Outcomes are being named openly. The message is simpler. This is what we want and we will act to get it. When a powerful country applies this logic first to its closest region, it sends a message to everyone else. It says proximity matters. Influence matters. And agreements can be rewritten. This does not only affect those directly involved. It reshapes how others plan. The first insight is the surface concept. When a major power leans into a regional doctrine, it is not just about one country. It is about setting expectations. If one action succeeds, then similar actions become easier to imagine. The idea spreads. Countries nearby begin to wonder if they are next. Not necessarily next for conflict, but next for pressure. Pressure can take many forms. Economic, political, diplomatic. When power is applied unilaterally, it reduces the space for negotiation. Smaller countries feel this first. They must decide quickly how to respond. Align. Resist. Delay. Each option has costs. Even friends become cautious. Trust depends on predictability. When predictability weakens, relationships strain. The second insight sits beneath that. We often assume that power changes only affect those who lose. But power shifts also change the winners. Countries that benefit in the long term are those that can operate with uncertainty. Those with large markets. Strong state control. Flexible alliances. When one power pulls back from being a steady anchor, others step in. Not to replace it fully but to fill gaps. Some countries gain leverage simply because they offer alternatives. Investment. Security. Trade. Others lose influence because their strength depended on shared rules. When rules change, their advantage fades. This is why some regions feel exposed. Not because they are weak, but because they relied on stability. The third insight is the structural pattern. Political revolutions at home often lead to policy revolutions abroad. When a country rewrites its internal rules, it becomes more willing to rewrite external ones. Domestic change fuels external assertiveness. Leaders who promise disruption internally often deliver disruption internationally. This creates a world that feels louder and faster. Decisions come with less warning. Signals are mixed. Friends and rivals receive similar treatment. In such an environment, planning becomes harder. Long-term agreements feel fragile. Businesses hesitate. Governments hedge. Everyone looks for backup options. This does not mean chaos. It means constant adjustment. It means more meetings. More deals. More short-term thinking. This leads to a reframing. The world is not becoming more dangerous everywhere at once. It is becoming more uneven. Some places will see opportunity in the gaps. Others will feel squeezed. The key change is reliability. When reliability drops, the value of independence rises. Countries start asking how much they can rely on themselves. On regional partners. On diversified relationships. The old idea of one main protector weakens. In its place appears a web. Messier but more resilient. This shift is uncomfortable. It forces hard choices. But it also reveals who is adaptable. Those who can move between systems will manage better. Those who wait for old patterns to return may struggle. Application to daily life may seem distant, but it is closer than it looks. Global uncertainty shows up in prices, in supply chains, in jobs, in travel, in energy costs. When countries change how they act, these effects trickle down. People feel them without seeing the cause. Understanding this helps reduce confusion. It reminds us that many changes are not personal failures but systemic shifts. It also suggests a response. Flexibility. Learning. Curiosity about the world beyond headlines. Paying attention to how power moves helps individuals and businesses make better choices. Optional deepening helps us slow down. It is tempting to frame this moment as good or bad. But it is more useful to see it as a transition. Old systems rarely collapse cleanly. They fray. New ones do not arrive fully formed. They emerge through trial. This period feels uncertain because it is. That does not mean it is directionless. Patterns are forming. Regional power matters more. Domestic politics shape foreign policy more directly. Alliances become more transactional. Values talk competes with interest talk. None of this is entirely new. What is new is the speed and openness. When power says what it wants out loud, others listen carefully. They adjust. They prepare. They look for leverage of their own. This is why some countries that seemed peripheral now feel central. They offer routes, resources, markets, mediation. In a less predictable world, these become valuable. The challenge for many is emotional as much as strategic. People prefer stable stories, clear roles, heroes and villains. This moment resists that simplicity. Friends can disagree. Allies can compete. Rivals can cooperate. Holding this complexity requires patience. It requires resisting panic. It requires noticing incentives rather than slogans. The most important skill may be the ability to sit with uncertainty without freezing. To keep moving. To keep talking. To keep building options. For countries and for people, this looks similar. Do not rely on one path. Do not assume one outcome. Build skills. Build relationships. Stay informed. Stay adaptable. The world is not ending. It is rebalancing. That process is noisy. It will create winners and losers. It will test institutions. It will test trust. But it will also reward those who can navigate change with clear eyes. As this new rule set continues to take shape and power signals become sharper and less predictable, the question worth holding is, how will you adapt your own thinking to live well in a world where certainty is no longer promised?